Well, you know, flying remains the safest way to travel, especially on commercial airlines in the United States. Here to share steps that you can take to make your next trip even safer, we welcome the author of The Crash Detectives and the forthcoming book, Don't Wear Leggings on an Airplane and Other Lessons from Unhappy Landings. Air safety specialist Christine Negroni. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
I love the title of Don't Wear Leggings to stay safer. I just think that's hilarious. But what got you into airline safety in the first place?
Oh, well, long ago I used to work in television news, as you do, and I covered an airplane crash in 1996, wrote a book about it, then decided it was such a fascinating subject that I became an air accident investigator, and I did that for about 8 years, and then I went back to journalism, and I put those two interests together, aviation safety and journalism. So I've done that ever since. That was from 2000.
Wow, and really the hot topic right now is airline safety. So people are wondering, how can they stay safe on an airline?
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, you know, of course, it's the Jaws syndrome, right? One event makes the news report on the next and the next. But truly, we are in a very strange place in aviation right now with the air traffic control system the way it is. It's not in good shape, and I think there is a legitimate concern about whether they've put too much stuff in the bag, whether the airlines have not just put too many flights into some of these airports, and they've created a bit of a mess. I mean, that's quite obvious. That said, now come on, we've got to look at there's such a statistical possibility that if you are in an accident, you will survive. 9 out of 10 air accidents have survivors. So it's not the popular conception that, you know, every airplane crash means everyone's dead. That's just not true. And so because flying is so much safer than it ever has been and any other form of transportation, it's probably a good idea to say, okay, so in that 10% of the cases where your accident might be pretty critical, what are the things you can do to enhance your survivability? And there's lots, lots. And so people need to take responsibility for being their own advocate in those cases.
Absolutely. Okay, you have this, you like this term CREEP. Let's talk about that. Tell me about it.
Well, CREEP is, you know, I wouldn't have given it that acronym, but what the heck, it's easy to remember. But that refers to...
It is easy to remember.
Exactly. So, it refers to the cabin. It refers to restraints, seat belts, and other things that restrain you in the cabin, the environment, the ability to dissipate energy, that's forces. And P, that's the most important one. That's really what we're going to talk about today, is post-crash, still alive. And that is where, you know, the passenger really steps up to the plate and takes responsibility for their own survival and those of others.
Let's go a little bit though about let's start with C though, and just give me a little bit of what you mean.
The container, that's the aircraft, is designed so that if you were to flail forward, or if the overhead bin was to open, or if the curtains between you and the fancy class were to catch fire, how would all of those things be mitigated to enhance your possibility of survival? So it's anti-flammable materials, no toxic smoke, it's energy absorbing components like the seat back in front of you. All of those things, they're very well thought out. There are people who study only this. We may be worried about how comfortable the seat is. They don't care about how comfortable the seat is. They want to make sure that that seat withstands 16 G's of impact, because that's going to protect us.
In general, when you talk to your friends about how safe they should be on a plane, one of the things you talk about is making sure you wear comfortable shoes.
Yes, of course. You know, you see people either in Birkenstocks, love them, but they're not good for an airplane, or high heel shoes, also not good for an airplane.
And that's because you want to be able to get out and
you want to
move
be able to flee. That's
right.
You want to be able to flee. And take a look at any airplane accident in which there are survivors, and you're going to see a lot of stuff. You're going to see glass on the runway. You're going to see ice on the runway. You're going to see fuel on the runway. Sometimes you might see fire on the runway, or on the pavement, and that's where you need to run. The famous accident in Sioux City, Iowa, in which people had to flee through a cornfield. You're not going to be doing that in high heel shoes. And you're not going to be doing that in flip-flops. So sensible shoes, easy on, easy off, thick sole.
And listen to what the flight attendants tell you.
Oh, I know. No one wants to, because they think they've heard it all. And in some respects, we have. Who needs to be told how to put on their seatbelt? But two things you have to consider. Not everyone on the airplane is a frequent flyer. And number two, you may want to remember to look where's the closest emergency exit. If you've flown 5 times or 500,000 times, you need to pay attention to that. You need to actually listen to what they're doing. And of course, finally, you know, it's respectful to pay attention to the person who's trying to save your life.
Yeah, I listen to be respectful to the flight attendants so they don't feel bad, but now I really will listen besides looking. But let's say there's smoke in the cabin, then if you're paying attention to where the exits are, it's a better chance you'll be able to find it quickly.
Correct.
Right?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
And of course, there, as you know from the flight attendant briefing, there's lighting along the bottom of the thing, and smoke, of course, rises. So you want to stay below and see where the lights lead you to your emergency exit.
You say to get a handle on your gadgets.
Okay, so gadgets are a big problem. You know, the latest numbers are that every passenger brings along 4 lithium-ion powered devices. So let's say there are 200 people on an airplane. That's 800 lithium-ion powered devices. Now we know lithium-ion batteries are a big problem because they tend to smoke and flame. Now I mentioned to you that the fabrics on your airplane seat will not smoke or catch fire. They're retardant. But your phone, not so much. And the airlines don't have so much control about what you bring on board. Today, in fact, Southwest announced that they're not going to allow you to charge your phone in the overhead bin, because those chargers, of course, are, again, lithium-ion batteries. And should they start overheating, you could create a fire in the overhead bin that you're unaware of, and the flight attendants are unaware of. So these are the steps that airlines need to take to be more proactive about what we're bringing on, which is additional hazards onto the airplane. So keep a handle on it. Sorry to go fast forward to your, to your question, was that if you've got it in your lap, if you've got it in your purse, you can see the minute something starts to go wrong, it starts to heat up, you know, you call the flight attendant, he or she puts it in the containment bag, problem solved, before there has to be a diversion or an emergency landing or, God forbid, something worse.
Let's go to the important topic of leggings, because leggings are very comfortable on planes.
They are, and you know, we just talked about fire. Fire, leggings.
Not good.
Not good. Not good. They're synthetic. The fibers in leggings are synthetic, which means they will heat up. They will heat up rapidly. They're actually petroleum products. They will heat up rapidly, and they will bond to your skin in a hot fire environment. So fire actually is one of the real things you have to worry about in an emergency landing. You've been protected from impact. You've been protected from toxicity and smoke. But heat and fire and your clothes can actually create a bit of a difficulty. So one of the things in creep, the last thing in creep, is post-crash, still alive. If you are post-crash and still alive, you want your legs to work, you want your brain to work. Those are the 2 things that are priorities to survival specialists. So you don't want those hot leggings burning onto your skin. You don't want compromising your legs. And obviously you don't want your brain compromised, but leggings have nothing to do with that, except, boy, you'd be feeling like, oh, these are hot.
What do you wear on a plane?
I actually wore these when I flew in yesterday, linen. They're very comfortable, they're very loose, so I'm not restricted if I have to climb over somebody who's incapacitated or whatever, going down the slide. I say loose, and not just me, the FAA says loose fitting, not too loose fitting, not a big flowy skirt, but loose fitting, natural fibers, less likely to heat up, less likely to burn and smolder. So those are the things that the experts recommend that you wear, and of course the shoes.
Wow. Oh, there's so much to learn. You have an event tonight at the Lake Theater and Cafe. That's in Lake Oswego on North State Street. We're going to put all that information. It's tonight at 6:30. We're going to put all that information for everyone on our website at k2.com. It is free to go to. We want to mention again, the books are titled The Crash Detectives and the forthcoming book, Don't Wear Leggings on an Airplane and Other Lessons from Unhappy Landings. Christine, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It's always fun talking to you.
All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.
Hey there, Helen. Live with Kelly Marcus coming up.
Elizabeth Banks is here, and the American Idol winner performs live in our studio.
That's today at 11 right here on K2.